Hello everyone, welcome back for another Star Trek Starships collection review. I have in front of me yet another special. This time it's the USS Reliant XL Extra Large Edition. And of course there's a nice magazine here and a huge ship in a box. So I'll put this aside and then we can jump into the magazine. Yay! Okay, and first thing you'll notice is the cool image on the cover there. It's actually different than the image that was on the original issue from a couple of years ago or more. And of course, has some information down there at the bottom. Considered Miranda class, 233 meters long, 11 decks, and of course, Captain Terrell is the commanding officer. So there, turn the page, and as you notice, there's no issue number here, and so yeah. And format is the same, with table of contents and copyright contact info, along with more specification information down there at the bottom. It is, well, the first appearance of the type of ship was in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and it's considered Miranda class. And of course, this particular ship was last seen in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, because it was destroyed at the end. And it was designed by Mike Miner and Joe Jennings. And of course, as I said earlier, the captain is Clark Terrell. And here's a section which is not about the ship, interestingly enough, because I guess all of that was explained in the actual Reliant issue, and more about the Miranda class was also explained in various other Miranda class ships that we've gotten in the collection so far, like the Saratoga, the Bozeman, what else? Saratoga, the USS Bozeman, the Reliant, and there might be one other one that I'm missing, and the Lantry, which is coming. So yeah, I can understand why there's not much in this magazine, and this is mostly about the actual film, I think. So this section, this article, I guess, just talks about a second chance with Khan from the original series episode called Space Seed. And here are more images and a concept art from that movie and the episode, of course. And more on that, including one of my favorite images of Kirstie Alley as Saavik. It's nice that it gets huge treatment here. And more on that, including some concept art designed for the Monster Maroon, as its uniform become affectionately known amongst us fans. And looks like some artwork on the destruction of the Reliance nacelle, so that's kind of cool. And more screen caps for the movie. And behind the scenes, including of the damage to the Enterprise's exterior. And here's something that which should, I don't know if it should scare you or interest you, but a section on the designing and making of the famous Settee eels. Ugly creatures, and it makes you just kind of shiver. And here's a cool section on the CG effect for the formation of the Genesis planet or Genesis wave or whatever. And more on that. And that's pretty much the ending of this magazine. It ends with the Genesis wave with an image of the ship back there on the cover. So yeah, not a whole lot, if very little, about the ship in here. It's mostly about the movie and its effects and so on and so forth. So yeah, not too bad. Again, if you want to know more about the Reliant per se itself, then you can read issue, I think it's 9, was it Reliant? I don't know, whatever number it was, but it was like 3-4 years ago when we got it. So you can check that out. And so now, let's move on to the model itself. And here is the model, the Reliant itself. And holy bejeebers, this thing is huge, and it is amazing, fantastic. Look at that. That is a quality model. Lots of detail. And for those of you who have watched my videos since the beginning, and those of you who here have heard my rants on Facebook about these sorts of things, they actually got the front of the nacelles correctly. Now, that might not be a big deal for some people, but for me, it's always been a big deal because I am all about detail when it comes to things like models and ships and uniforms and that sort of thing. And as a kid, one of the things I've always liked about the movie era ships, that is the Enterprise Refit, Reliant, whatever, I've always loved these styles of warp nacelles, and I've always loved this front end of it. And most of the ships that we got in the collection, in the normal collection, like let's say the even the Enterprise Refit, the Enterprise A, the normal size one, that is the Stargazer, the Reliant itself, and a couple others. I think out of all of those, only 2 of them got it right. And one of them was the USS Curry, which was the Dominion War kitbash ship. And the other one was kind of sort of the Reliant, but it just wasn't painted in or filled in with the black. And then there was the Saratoga, which had this, but it was blue on the interior, which is okay, but still not quite accurate. And then I think that was it. Even the USS Bozeman got them wrong. And it's kind of a bummer, you know, especially with the Stargazer and other ones. Like, this is one thing that should have been consistent all the way across the board. And for the original Enterprise Refit and the Enterprise A not to have the nacelles like this, that was like a huge bummer for me when those models came in. So, getting back to this thing is humongous. I mean, if you look at that detail across the top of the hull, you have some awesome Aztecing there. Even on the roll bar here, as it is affectionately known, you have your NCC-1864 USS Reliant. Very faint, and you can actually see it says Starship USS Reliant NCC-1864, and it says the same thing on both sides. Very, very small, so you need a magnifying lens to actually see it. And the registry number, that is the NCC-1864, is very bold and crisp here. My only beef and problem is, looking at this model, or my model on the camera, it looks like it doesn't have the USS Reliant on here. That's actually not true, because it actually is there. It's just so light. I guess the colors that they used, or the font, whatever, it's not so prominent. So it's a bit of a bummer, but it is there. I promise you it's there. And I'm trying to, you can kind of see it, make it out. On camera, it doesn't look that good, but in person, you can see it more, and it's there. So I just don't want you to be afraid of that. Again, the nacelles look fantastic. You have your clear blue, which is always a joy to see. And of course, you have your registry information down at the bottom. And the Starfleet stripe and pendant is there, complete with United Federation of Planets, Starship, USS Reliant. The windows seem to be okay. Of course, they have to be okay because there aren't any grooves this time. They're just painted on, which I'd almost rather than have them misaligned. The torpedo launcher looks great. A lot of fine detail in there. Even this back sensor area or whatnot. A lot of touchy-feely stuff. A lot of detail in there. The rear, the shuttle bay. You see 1 and 2. The impulse engines are nice. You have your registry once again, including on the interior outsides of the nacelles. And the rear torpedo launcher looks excellent as well. And it fits in your hand about, look at that, it covers my entire hand and still leaves room to spare. This thing is huge. And this is a fantastic model. I was super excited about this, but it took me a while to get it for obvious reasons. This is a little bit more expensive. But this is a good model, and I am so happy with it. This is probably the definitive Miranda class model that we'll ever get, for the price, that is. And the bottom looks great. Of course, you see Reliant under the dome there, and the registry is nice and crisp, as well as your RCS thrusters. They're nice. The front even has the windows painted on, which is nice. No grooves to misalign or anything. This is a very, very good model. Aside from the font being somewhat light, you know, it looks fantastic. I'm very, very happy with it. And a close-up of the nacelles once again. I mean, it really just looks fantastic. I have to say, it just looks fantastic. Definitely worth your money if you love the Star Trek movies, especially The Wrath of Khan. And as I mentioned earlier, not the Reliant, but this same class of ship, that is the same ship with a different name, I guess, with different names and registries and crews, appeared throughout all of the Star Trek series. That is, since the movies to The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and even Voyager, and one of the at least toward the end. So this model or this type of ship has been around forever. And interestingly enough, the original Reliant model was reused and redressed or renamed several times throughout the course of Star Trek, especially for the Saratoga on Deep Space Nine, minus the Robar. It was also the USS Britannia. It was also reused as the Saratoga from Star Trek 4. As I mentioned, the one from DS9. The what's the other one? So it's not the Soyuz class one. Yeah, the Soyuz class. USS Bozeman. Sorry, drew a blank there. The Bozeman and many other ships until it went by way of CG on Deep Space Nine for all of the ones that were blown up and destroyed during the Dominion War. So anyway, this is a fantastic model. It'll kick you back about $74, but I got mine through a discount. And, you know, for the price, it's definitely worth it. And it is fantastic. I would highly recommend you picking it up. I mean, look at the size of the model compared to me. If you were to, I think it's huge, you know. It really, really looks nice. It really looks good. It really looks good standing up on a stand. It looks good anywhere you want to position it. The detail is just fantastic. And again, I'm just so happy about the nacelles being correct and everything. It just really, really makes me happy. This is an A+ job, Hugo Moss, or I would say an A- due to the actual USS Reliant being slightly light paint-wise, at least on camera, but it is visible and you can see it in person, but it's still lighter than I would have liked it to be. But other than that, it's a fantastic model. If you love the Miranda class, you love the movie, you love the films, you love the shows, this is one to have, and this is one definitely to kick your 75 smackaroos at. So yeah, now I'm going to be quiet and show you what this thing looks like on a stand. But it is great. I would highly recommend you picking this one up. Now, I'm not a person who normally gets the XL ships. I think I have only 2 so far, this being the 3rd. I have the XL Voyager, which I've also reviewed here, and I have the XL or extra large Original Enterprise, which I've also reviewed here. And aside from this and the Discovery Collection, which are pretty much oversized ships anyway, the Disco USS Enterprise, that is the USS Enterprise from Star Trek Discovery, should be popping in sometime soon this month, I hope. So when I get that, I look forward to sharing with you as well. So yeah, there is the Reliant. And now I'm going to be quiet and show you what it looks like. But until next time, live long and prosper, guys. Be safe.